It's me, Ajani, your father. Baba, what are you doing here? While I keep them occupied, you need to make your way to the cage and rescue Mama and the other captives. Promise me you'll be careful. I can't lose you again. Ajani, my love, you came for us. I will always come for you, Ngozi. We must hurry now. Kelechi is creating a diversion for us to escape. I will soon present myself as their new ruler. Find them! They can't have gone far. No matter what, do not come out of this hideout. Myself or my son, Kelechi will come back for you soon when the time is right.
My name is Kelechi.
You can choose to let go of the anger and the pain to return home and make amends. You truly believe you can change what has been done. So can you bring my mother back to life? But you're a fool if you think I'll fall for your tricks. I have plans for you and for Udo Village, and no amount of your mewling will change that. As he slowly regained his senses, he realized that he was no longer in control of his own body. No matter what happens, Baba, don't come looking for me. It's too risky. I know my way around this jungle, and I know how to handle the bandits. Ndidi's powerful hand smashed into Kelechi's face so fast it was hard to see. The powerful hit made Kelechi fall back and land on the ground. Kelechi's face throbbed with terrible pain that made it hard for him to see straight or think clearly as he struggled to get up. As he fought to stay conscious, Kelechi's last thought was of his family, of the village he had sworn to protect. Ndidi's laughter pierced the heavy jungle air as he tied Kelechi to a tree at the edge of his camp. The ropes bit into Kelechi's wrists, but it was the sting of humiliation that burned fiercer. Ndidi paraded in front of him, his every word dripping with scorn. Back in Udo Village, chaos reigned as Ndidi's men launched their assault. The villagers fought bravely, their spears and arrows clashing against the bandits' crude weapons. But the raiders' numbers were too great, their ferocity unmatched. The defense crumbled, cries of despair echoed through the night. Basi led the charge with brutal efficiency, cornering Chief Okenwa within his own compound. The chief's wisdom and authority had always been the village's guiding light. Now, bound and defeated, he was dragged away like a trophy of war, his royal crown taken, signifying total defeat and disgrace. With Chief Okenwa captive, and Basi returning to camp with news of victory, the remaining bandits stood watch over Udo Village, making sure no one would escape. Upon receiving the chief at camp, Ndidi's eyes gleamed with triumph. You see, even your precious leader couldn't stop us, he boasted. The significance of capturing Chief Okenwa could not be overstated. He was not just their leader, but a symbol of Udo Village's unity and strength. With him in chains, hope dwindled like a dying flame. Now where is the most important trophy? Ndidi asked. Basi handed him the royal crown. Ndidi was filled with joy as he was very close to making his dream a reality. Why was Ndidi so eager to receive the royal crown? Well, wearing it could mark him as the supreme ruler of Udo Village. But then, there is even more profound reason to Ndidi wanting the royal crown so badly. Let me tell you the backstory. Little did young Ndidi know that the words his mother was about to speak would forever change the course of his life and the fate of Udo Village. This was before Ndidi's mother, Chika's untimely death at the riverbank. On a quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows of the jungle grew long, Chika called young Ndidi to her side. She had been contemplating the hardships they had endured and the uncertain future that lay ahead, and she felt compelled to share a piece of her past with her son. With a heavy heart, Chika began to recount the tale of her exile from Udo Village and the secret she had carried with her all these years. She spoke of the hidden temple deep within the jungle. Chika's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she pulled her young son close, her voice trembling with emotion. "Ndidi, my boy, there's something I must tell you, a secret that has been passed down through our family for generations." Ndidi looked up at his mother, his brow furrowed with concern. "What is it, Mama? Why are you crying?" Chika took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Many years ago, when I was a young girl in Udo Village, I overheard the elders speaking of a hidden temple deep within the jungle. They spoke of an ancient staff, a weapon of immense power that resided within its walls. But there were trials and dangers that lay within. The temple was guarded by treacherous traps and deadly creatures." Ndidi's eyes widened, a flicker of excitement dancing in their depths. "A weapon like the ones the warriors use?" Chika shook her head, a sad smile playing on her lips. "No, my son. This staff is different. It is said to hold the power to command the very elements, to grant its wielder unimaginable strength and wisdom. But it is also a burden, a heavy responsibility that can corrupt even the purest of hearts." Her voice heavy with emotion as she continued her story. "There's more, Ndidi. The elders spoke of a prophecy, a prediction that the one who wields the staff and wears the royal crown of Udo Village will become an unstoppable force, a ruler whose power cannot be challenged." Ndidi's eyes widened, a mix of wonder and confusion on his face. "The royal crown, like the one Chief Okenwa wears?" Chika nodded, her expression grave. "Yes, my son. The prophecy states that when the staff and the crown are brought together, the wielder will become the ultimate authority, a king or queen whose reign will last for generations." Ndidi fell silent, trying to process this new information. Chika gently lifted his chin, forcing him to meet her gaze. "But listen to me, Ndidi. This power is not meant for just anyone. The prophecy speaks of a chosen one, a hero who will use the staff and the crown to save Udo Village from a great calamity. It is not a tool for revenge or personal gain." Tears streamed down Chika's face as she implored her son to understand. "Promise me, Ndidi. Promise me that you will never seek out the staff or the crown for yourself. Promise me that you will trust in the wisdom of the prophecy and let the chosen one fulfill their destiny." Ndidi, his own eyes glistening with tears, nodded solemnly. "I promise, Mama. I will never forget your words, and I will always strive to be the man you want me to be." Chika smiled through her tears, hugging her son tightly. "I know you will, my boy. I know you will." As they held each other in the fading light of dusk, Chika's heart was heavy with the knowledge that she had placed a great burden on her young son's shoulders. She knew that the lure of power, especially the power to rule and control, could be incredibly tempting. But she also knew that it was crucial for Ndidi to understand the true nature of the prophecy and the importance of letting the chosen one fulfill their destiny. Little did Chika know that her words, meant to guide and protect her son, would one day be twisted by Ndidi's anger and ambition, setting him on a path that would bring him into direct conflict with the very chosen one she had spoken of. Years later, after Chika's tragic death and Ndidi's rise to power as the leader of the bandits, the memory of that conversation resurfaced. Ndidi, consumed by his anger and resentment towards Udo Village, began to see the staff as the key to his revenge and his ultimate conquest. He became obsessed with the idea of claiming the artifact for himself, convinced that he was the true chosen one, destined to rule over the region. It was then that Ndidi, armed with the knowledge his mother had imparted, began to seek out more information about the hidden temple. He captured the village elder, pressing him for details about the temple's location and the trials that lay within, using the information his mother had given him to confirm the elder's story. Ndidi, consumed by his anger and resentment towards Udo Village, had tucked this information away, biding his time until he could use it to his advantage. As he rose to power as the leader of the bandits, he began to piece together the fragments of the legend, seeking out ancient texts and consulting with mystics who whispered of the staff's connection to the chief's crown. Unbeknownst to Kelechi, Ndidi had been quietly gathering information about the temple's location and the trials that lay within. He had sent scouts to scour the jungle, searching for any signs of the hidden entrance, and had even managed to infiltrate Udo Village, planting spies who could keep him informed of any developments. When Ndidi learned of Kelechi's existence and the prophecy surrounding the young man, he knew that he had to act fast. He recognized that Kelechi posed a significant threat to his plans, and he became determined to reach the temple first and claim the staff and crown for himself. Okay, back to the story. As Ndidi prepared to make his grand entrance as the new ruler of Udo Village, an uneasy stillness settled over the once vibrant community. Fear gripped every heart. Their fates now lay in the hands of merciless men who had shattered their peace under cover of darkness. Ndidi's men paraded the captured chief through the village, their faces twisted with cruel satisfaction. The once proud leader of Udo Village was now a mere shadow of his former self, a symbol of their own vulnerability and the bandits' ruthless power. In Udo Village, the remaining bandits stood guard, their weapons at the ready. They barked orders at the frightened villagers, demanding their obedience and submission. The air was thick with tension, the villagers' hearts heavy with the knowledge that their chief had been taken from them. One bandit climbed onto a crate, raising his voice for all to hear, his voice booming across the gathered crowd. "Listen up, people of Udo Village," he shouted, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Your chief has been captured, and now we are in control. From this moment forward, you will answer to us and our leader, Ndidi. We are in control now. Listen to us, and no one will get hurt." The villagers huddled together, their faces etched with terror and despair. They had fought bravely, but the bandits' superior numbers and weaponry had overwhelmed them. The loss of their chief was a devastating blow, a symbol of their shattered hopes and dreams, and were vulnerable at the mercy of Ndidi and his ruthless band of outlaws. Meanwhile, deep in the jungle, Kelechi remained tied to a tree, his body aching from the brutal treatment he had endured. Ndidi stood before him, his face twisted with cruel amusement. "Look at you, monkey boy," Ndidi sneered. "You thought you could save your village, but now you're nothing more than a pathetic captive. Thought you could change me with your pathetic tales. You're nothing but a tied-up freak. You see, even your precious leader, the once great Okenwa, couldn't stop us," he boasted to Kelechi. "Wait, what does this make me? A hero? I have the most important people of Udo at my feet. First their savior, and now their king. I even have the royal crown all to myself." Ndidi burst into laughter. Kelechi gritted his teeth, refusing to give Ndidi the satisfaction of seeing him broken. Despite his dire situation, his spirit remained unbroken, determined to find a way to escape and save his village from the clutches of the bandits. Ndidi towered over his captive, relishing the power he held over the man who had once looked down upon him and his mother. With a mocking laugh, Ndidi grabbed the chief by the chin, forcing him to meet his gaze. "Look at you now, O great chief," Ndidi sneered. "Not so high and mighty anymore, are you? Who would have known this day would come? The great Okenwa pleading for mercy from an outcast like me?" The chief remained silent, his eyes filled with a mixture of defiance and despair, knowing his capture signified more than just his own fate. It marked the fall of Udo Village, the end of an era. As Okenwa looked at Kelechi being tied to a tree and himself being bound in chains, he shook his head in disbelief, knowing that there was no hope. As he stared at Kelechi, he realized how strong and relentless he was, having been able to survive in the jungle to this day. He was filled with guilt for his bad decision. Kelechi focused on the pendant around his neck. As he did, a warmth spread through his body, and he felt a surge of energy coursing through his veins. He closed his eyes and concentrated, and soon he was transported to a strange and wonderful place. He saw the hidden temple, its entrance shrouded in mist and mystery. He saw himself, his tail coiled with power, standing before the ancient doors, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. And then he heard Uzoma's voice, whispering the secret of the staff and the key to unlocking its power. "The staff is powerful," his mentor's voice echoed in his mind, "but it is also dangerous. You must use it wisely, but make sure you grab it first before anyone else does." Kelechi nodded, his heart pounding with excitement and trepidation. He knew that he had to find the staff and harness its power, or else Ndidi would succeed in his quest for ultimate dominance. Kelechi's eyes snapped open, a newfound determination burning within him. The vision from Uzoma had shown him the path he needed to take, and he knew he had to act fast. Using the strength and agility granted to him by his unique tail, Kelechi began to work at his bonds, his mind focused on the task at hand. Meanwhile, Ndidi and Basi dragged the chief through the dense jungle, making their way towards the secret temple. Ndidi's heart raced with anticipation, knowing that the ancient staff and the royal crown were within his grasp. With each step, he could feel the power that awaited him, the ultimate dominance he had always craved. In the secret hideout, Ngozi and the other captives followed Ajani's instructions, remaining hidden and out of sight. They huddled together, their hearts filled with fear and uncertainty, but they clung to the hope that Kelechi would find a way to save them and the village. Back in Udo Village, Mama Decay moved among the villagers, her presence a calming force amidst the chaos. She whispered words of reassurance, urging them to remain strong and have faith in the face of adversity. Despite the watchful eyes of the bandits, Mama Decay knew that the villagers needed her guidance now more than ever. As Kelechi worked tirelessly to free himself, his mind raced with the knowledge that Ndidi was on his way to claim the ancient staff and the royal crown. He knew that if Ndidi succeeded, all would be lost. But Kelechi refused to let that happen. With every fiber of his being, he was determined to stop Ndidi and save his village from the clutches of the wicked bandit leader. Kelechi maneuvered his tail with incredible precision, breaking free from the ropes that bound him to the tree. To his shock, his tail seemed to have a mind of its own, pulling him with an irresistible force towards an unknown destination deep in the jungle. As he followed the mysterious pull, Kelechi's eyes widened in disbelief when he stumbled upon the secret temple. The ancient structure was shrouded in an eerie mist, its walls adorned with intricate carvings and symbols that seemed to whisper secrets of a forgotten past. Kelechi approached the temple cautiously, his senses on high alert. He knew that the temple was guarded by treacherous traps and deadly creatures, ready to thwart any intruder who dared to enter. With his tail coiled and ready, Kelechi summoned all his courage and swiftness, determined to bypass the obstacles that lay ahead. Using his agility and quick reflexes, Kelechi dodged the hidden spikes that shot out from the walls and leaped over the gaping pits that threatened to swallow him whole. His tail proved to be an invaluable asset, allowing him to swing across chasms and deflect the venomous darts that whizzed past his head. Finally, after a harrowing journey through the temple's defenses, Kelechi found himself standing before the entrance to the inner sanctum. As he stepped inside, his heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. But Kelechi soon realized that he was not alone in his quest. Ndidi, the ruthless bandit leader, had also learned of the ancient staff's existence. Driven by an insatiable hunger for power, Ndidi had set out to claim the staff for himself, determined to crush any remaining resistance and cement his rule over Udo Village. As Kelechi ventured deeper into the temple, he knew that a final confrontation with Ndidi was inevitable. The fate of Udo Village and the entire region hung in the balance, and Kelechi was determined to emerge victorious. With his unique abilities and unwavering resolve, he prepared himself for the battle that lay ahead, ready to face whatever challenges the temple and Ndidi had in store for him. Kelechi burst into the inner sanctum, his heart pounding with adrenaline. To his horror, he saw Ndidi standing before the ancient staff, the royal crown already perched upon his head. The village chief, still bound in chains and held by Basi, looked on in shock and disbelief as Ndidi reached out to claim the ultimate power. But Kelechi was not about to let that happen. With lightning-fast reflexes, he coiled his tail and launched himself towards the staff. As Ndidi's fingers grazed the ancient artifact, Kelechi's tail whipped through the air, striking the bandit leader across the face with a resounding crack. Stunned by the sudden attack, Ndidi stumbled backward, his hand recoiling from the staff. Seizing the opportunity, Kelechi's tail wrapped around the staff, yanking it towards him with a triumphant flourish. Ndidi roared with rage, his eyes blazing with fury. He lunged at Kelechi, determined to wrest the staff from his grasp. Basi, loyal to his leader, charged forward to join the fray, but Kelechi was ready for them. As he gripped the staff tightly, he felt a surge of power coursing through his body. He gained muscles. His tail began to glow with an otherworldly light, pulsing with ancient energy. Ndidi and Basi attacked with ferocious intensity, their weapons slashing through the air. But Kelechi, now fortified with the staff's power, moved with unnatural speed and grace. He dodged their blows effortlessly, his tail striking with the force of a whirlwind. The village chief watched in awe as Kelechi unleashed the full might of the staff. Bolts of lightning crackled from its tip, slamming into Ndidi and sending him flying across the chamber. Basi, realizing the tide had turned tail and fled, disappearing into the shadows. Ndidi, battered and beaten, staggered to his feet. He made one last desperate attempt to seize the staff, but Kelechi was too quick. With a final, devastating blow, Kelechi sent Ndidi crashing to the ground, defeated and broken. As the dust settled, Kelechi stood tall, the ancient staff held aloft in his hand. He could feel the wisdom of the ages flowing through him, granting him strength and power beyond his wildest dreams. The village chief, freed from his chains, looked upon Kelechi with a mixture of reverence and gratitude. Kelechi had emerged victorious, outsmarting Ndidi and claiming the staff for himself. With this new power at his command, he knew that he could finally protect Udo Village and bring peace to the land. The journey had been long and perilous, but in that moment, Kelechi knew that it had all been worth it. Kelechi's fingers closed around the royal crown, its metal cool and heavy in his grip. Ndidi lay sprawled on the stone floor, his breaths ragged, his eyes filled with disbelief. The boy could have placed the crown upon his own head, claimed the power it signified, but he chose a different path. Turning to Chief Okenwa, Kelechi extended the symbol of absolute rule. The elder's eyes widened, a mixture of shock and shame clouding his features. After all the village had done to Kelechi, after all the pain and rejection, Here he stood, offering kindness instead of vengeance. "Take it," Chief Okenwa said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It belongs to you. I have failed my people. Please forgive me for all I did to you." Kelechi shook his head gently, the tail behind him swaying with a quiet grace. "I do not seek power that does not belong to me. I am only here to help my people. I forgive you, but I can't have that." Carefully, he placed the crown back upon Okenwa's head. Just then, Uzoma appeared before Kelechi with a knowing smile creasing his face. "You have made it, my boy. You have fulfilled the prophecy." He pointed toward the entrance of the temple, where a white horse stood bathed in an ethereal light. "Hop on it, that will take you home. It signifies your victory. You left Udo as an outcast, now you go back as king," Uzoma said. Back in Udo Village, an ominous thunder rolled across the sky, followed by heavy rain. The villagers emerged from their huts, their faces etched with confusion and wonderment. The last time they had witnessed such a downpour was when Kelechi was exiled. Despite their captivity, smiles crept onto their faces. Mama Decay lifted her hands to the sky and whispered thanks to the ancestors, her heart knowing that something positive had happened. Kelechi mounted the white horse provided by Uzoma as Chief Okenwa climbed up behind him, holding onto Kelechi's waist for support. Ndidi was bound with a rope to the horse's saddle, his head hanging low in defeat as they set off through the rains toward Udo Village. But first, Kelechi had to retrieve his mother and the other captives from their secret hideout, nestled deep within the jungle's embrace. Rain drummed a steady rhythm on the leaves above as Kelechi dismounted the white horse. He approached the secret hideout where his father, Ajani, had hidden the captives and his mother. With trembling hands, he pushed open the door, the creaking sound echoing through the stillness. Inside, the captives huddled together, their eyes wide with fear, thinking that one of Ndidi's men had come for them. But then, Kelechi's voice rang out, filled with joy and relief. "Mama, it's me, Kelechi, your son. Come out now because you are free." At his words, Ngozi emerged from the shadows, her face a mixture of disbelief and overwhelming happiness. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she ran towards her son, her arms outstretched. Kelechi embraced his mother, holding her tight as they both wept with joy. She stepped into the light, her gaze locking onto her son's form. The sight of him, stronger, more confident, brought tears to her eyes. "Kelechi," she whispered, as if speaking any louder might shatter the moment into an illusion. "Yes, Mama," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "It's me." In an instant, they were in each other's arms, Ngozi holding Kelechi as if she could shield him from the world's cruelties with her embrace alone. Her fingers traced the line of his jaw, her touch reaffirming that this was no dream. "My boy," she murmured into his shoulder, "I knew you would return to us. I knew." Kelechi pulled back just enough to look into his mother's eyes. "You never gave up on me." "Never," Ngozi affirmed, cupping his face in her hands. "You are my heart's joy, my brave son." Their reunion sparked a flame of hope in the other captives who began to step out from their shadowed confines into freedom's light. They gathered around mother and son, their faces etched with smiles born from relief and newfound freedom. With Ngozi by his side and the other women forming a procession behind them, Kelechi mounted the horse once more. The village chief took his place behind Kelechi, while Ndidi remained bound and defeated. As they set off towards Udo Village, the women, led by Ngozi, formerly captives, freed by Kelechi, sang songs of freedom to honor the young hero. They led the way as Kelechi followed behind, triumphantly riding his white horse and holding his staff. As the triumphant procession neared Udo Village, The villagers heard the echoes of joyous songs carried on the wind. Curiosity and anticipation filled the air as they gathered at the village entrance, their eyes straining to catch a glimpse of the approaching group. The bandits, who had been left behind to guard the village, were happy, believing that their leader, Ndidi, had finally claimed his rightful place as king. But their expectations were shattered when the procession came into view. Leading the way were the freed captives, their voices raised in triumphant chants, their faces radiant with newfound hope. Behind them, riding atop a majestic white horse, sat Kelechi, his presence exuding strength and confidence. Gasps of disbelief and wonder rippled through the crowd as they recognized the boy they had once scorned and exiled. Alongside Kelechi rode Chief Okenwa, alive and well, the royal crown still perched upon his head. The villagers erupted in cheers, their hearts swelling with relief and gratitude. The bandits, caught off guard by this unexpected turn of events, readied their weapons, preparing to fight. But their resolve crumbled when they saw their once feared leader, Ndidi, bound and defeated, trailing behind Kelechi's horse. As Kelechi dismounted, the ancient staff held firmly in his grasp, the bandits marveled at the sight. Realizing the futility of their cause, they retreated, attempting to escape. But Kelechi's voice rang out, clear and commanding, "Seize them now!" The villagers, emboldened by Kelechi's presence, sprang into action, capturing the fleeing bandits. Kelechi addressed the captive bandits, his voice filled with authority. "Listen well if you wish to live. For all the years of trouble you have brought upon my village, you will now undo them. You will rebuild the damaged houses, aid the villagers in their farms, and help with animal husbandry. You will remain our prisoners and work to make amends for eternity." The village erupted in jubilation, their voices rising in a chorus of praise for Kelechi. They marveled at how Mama Decay had been right all along. Kelechi was indeed the hero foretold in the prophecy. Chief Okenwa stepped forward, his eyes brimming with gratitude as he recounted the tale of Kelechi's selflessness in the temple, how he had refused the chance to become king and instead chose to serve his people. Ajani and Ngozi embraced their son, tears of joy streaming down their faces. Mama Decay approached Kelechi, her eyes shining with pride as she congratulated him for his unwavering determination. The families of the returned captives reunited, their laughter and tears mingling as they thanked Kelechi and the ancestors for their deliverance. The days of fear and trepidation had given way to a season of peace and prosperity in Udo Village. Where once the shadow of Ndidi and his bandits loomed, now only the gentle rhythms of daily life persisted. The fields, once neglected during times of strife, flourished under the diligent hands of those same bandits who now worked them as captives. Ndidi, stripped of his command, labored alongside his former subordinates, their glances often darting towards Kelechi, who with the ancient staff in hand had the power to command them. Kelechi walked among the villagers with a quiet authority, the staff a symbol of his guardianship rather than dominance. He had made a vow, a promise etched deep within his heart, not to use this extraordinary power for selfish gains. His eyes reflected not the pride of conquest, but the serenity of purpose. Children played at his feet, their laughter a testament to the village's newfound freedom. They marveled at Odudu, Kelechi's tale, which had become a tale of legend in itself, a symbol of strength and uniqueness that now inspired rather than incited fear. It was amidst this tranquil setting that Uzoma appeared to Kelechi once more. The ancient mentor's eyes held a mix of pride and sadness as he approached the young hero. "You have done it all well done, boy," Uzoma said with a gentle smile. "I have finished playing my part assigned by the ancestors to be a guide to you towards your journey. It is time for me to leave." Kelechi felt a twinge in his chest, a combination of gratitude and impending loss. Uzoma had been more than a mentor. He had been a beacon during Kelechi's darkest moments. "But you have one last choice to make," Uzoma continued, his voice echoing with an otherworldly resonance. "Do you want to keep your Odudu, or do you want to lose it to become normal as everyone?" Kelechi looked down at his tail, Odudu, which swayed gently behind him. It was part of who he was. It was his challenge and his gift. A smile tugged at the corner of his lips as he prepared to make his wish. "I want to," Kelechi began, his decision clear in his heart. And with those words hanging in the air, Uzoma's form began to fade, leaving Kelechi standing amongst his people, ready to embrace whatever came next.